interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Yo, it's Remember the Show. Slick with the flows, where the sparring can go. Who's gonna be on, man, you never will know. Guess you better tune in, cause we live from Chicago. Belal Muhammad, that's the king of the tweets. Jason Anik looks like John, step his hands to his feet. Every Thursday, we gon' give you a treat. It's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat. And retweet, and retweet, and retweet. And retweet, it's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat.
Happy Thursday night, everyone. We are live, as usual. Hope Buffer doesn't mind me saying we are live. By the way, that's Cody Merrill, our director, on that fresh track off the top. Cody, I haven't given you props on that for a while, so I figure I'd shout you out. That gets me going every time. Anyway, it's episode 72. Remember the Show. Jason Anik, joined by my brother, Belal Muhammad. Latest nominee for World MMA Awards Coach of the Year. Am I right? No?
I had to text Khabib, bro. I'm 4-0 right now in the UFC, and it's not counting my 19-1 record with Lewis Taylor when I cornered Lou all those times. So I'm using that. So right now I'm 22-1, guys.
I love it. So it was just you and one other guy, right?
Yeah, it was me and Jason Strout. He's one of the coaches from Sanford MMA. He was like Jared Gordon's longtime coach from New York, and he was from Church Street Boxing. He had his own gym out there, but then he moved to Thailand. He was in Thailand for a little bit, and he's been all over the world. He tells me he's like a gypsy because like he knows people in all these places. Like he was just in San Diego, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go meet some friends, so I'll see you guys later." And we're like, "Oh, okay, somebody here." And then he's just in Utah right now, and he's like riding a bike. I'm like, "Oh, no way, they got nice bikes there." And he's like, "Oh, it's one of my friends. He gave it to me." And I was like, "Oh, dude, you just have friends everywhere?" He's like, "Everywhere." "Yeah, dude, I told you I'm a gypsy." I was like, "Oh, all right, makes sense."
I love it. Well, anyway, anyone who can't remember the show last week, we had some topics that we threw out there. We're going to get into that tonight. But Bully, before we get into our topics, anything percolating that big steel trap of yours that you want to get out? Anything you're chomping on right now?
Just a big shout out to my brother Gerald Gordon fighting this week. And if you follow him on social media, like mentally, he just seems like in such a great place right now. He's been posting a lot of reels. A lot of guys fight week. They're very stressed. They're overthinking things. They're trying to just stay in the room. And he's down there with his wife. They're making a bunch of reels. His like follower count went up like 10,000 followers. Wow. Yeah, within these last couple of days, because he hasn't posted like in the last like 2 months. And because he's like, yeah, I'm just trying to stop myself from distraction. But then his wife's taking control right now. She's like posting all these reels, making all these reels. I'm like, you want to be postman of the year fight week? And he's like, "It's dude, we're making some good ones, bro. My stuff's going viral right now. It's getting a lot of freaking views."
Yeah, well, it's interesting, and you see them keep popping out. I was like, I kept noticing. I was like, because I'm not on Instagram all that much. I kept noticing. I'm like, whoa, this dude's posting. Like every time I pop on, I got something new from Flash.
Dude, literally, and like they're good stuff. It's good material. And I always tell him like, be more active, start posting more. But now he's starting to do it more, and I think it's gonna be a snowball effect after this. We get a big win Saturday, inshallah. It's gonna be worth it. But just seeing his mentality this fight week, and then you see a guy like Luke Rockhold, who just seems angry at the world. And it's just like two different sides of the spectrum where like Luke just seems just mad. Like, I don't know if he just doesn't like fighting, or he's just, like I said, it's the stress of it, the anxiety of it. He's coming off of 2 big losses, and he just seems like a different person. Like he doesn't seem like the same confident Luke Rockhold. He just seems like an angry guy. And honestly, that's how you see a lot of fighters like that too. But since he's like on this big stage, his co-main event, so he's getting a lot more views because of who he is, and he has a bigger platform. But then you see a guy like Jared, who just seems like in a happy place. And I want to see how both their performances come Saturday night, because I feel like Jared is going to be more just because, when you're not stressed out, you don't have that extra anxiety, like everything's going to go smooth for you. What's up, my brother?
Yeah, we got a lot of love. And Dave Fretch was just shouting out as usual. Appreciate y'all being around. So Cody, if you don't mind, we're going to roll our second week out of the topics, please, sir. I was going to go topics. Let's see if we, I was going to say there's no P in Palestine, right? We go with, or in your language, correct?
You would have been very creative if you put the B right there, Cody. I was like, man, if Cody had caught that, Cody would have been a beast.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he has a reason why he did or he didn't, but we'll get that anyway. So, all right.
Yeah, because people are going to say that I had a typo.
So, this topic category already pisses me off, Chimaev title, but I'm just going to quote UFC President Dana White this week, and we'll get into it a little bit. So I believe it was referring to the UFC 279 bout between Khamzat Chimaev and Nate Diaz. It makes me kind of shake my head. So, because he'll quote Dana White, if he wins that one, that's the fight to make, talking about Chimaev versus Usman, meaning for the welterweight title, right? And so he says, Usman, quote again, already beat everybody twice at the top, so that makes sense, right? Well, it doesn't make sense to me, and what is the top, right? Like what's the top? Certainly not top 5 if we're talking that, but to me, it's like, he's got to get through Leon, right? And I know I'm team Muhammad. Okay. I know I'm team Muhammad, but to me, it's like, so Chimaev beating Nate Diaz, like, what does that take him to a different level here? No disrespect to Diaz, but what are we doing here? Isn't this one of those, entertainment fights?
Yeah, literally, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. And when you have like the president of the UFC talking like that, obviously, I know it's a big money thing here. If you're the UFC, you want what's going to make the most money. You're looking for that next star. Leon Edwards was getting a title shot after being a Nate Diaz, but Leon Edwards put the work in. He's on a 9-fight winning streak. Chimaev has 3 fights at 170. He's went through a war with Gilbert in a 3-round fight, so he's never been in a 5-round fight, and he's only fought one ranked guy. When you're looking at a guy like me, I've fought 5 ranked guys right now in the top 10 that have been in the top 10 right now, and I put in the work. I'm on an 8-fight winning streak, and you're not even bringing that up. And now I'm going against a 15-0 guy, Sean Brady, who they think can be the next big thing, yada, yada, yada. So if I go out there and stomp a hole in him, you're still telling me that Chimaev's still ahead of me because he beats a guy like Nate Diaz. And, it pisses you off, but like, I understand the business side of it. I understand we're in a different age nowadays where rankings don't mean anything. And the ranking system is just probably just for the fans to understand things and just for them to have a number next to their name because of college basketball and all these NFL, all these things have rankings. So we decided to do it with MMA, but they don't mean anything. Like Luke Rockhold could go out here, beat a Costa, and then get a title shot just because his name's so big. Sean O'Malley's fighting the number two ranked guy and Peter Yan because Sean O'Malley's popular and he could get a title shot next just because of that. Like, I know that we're in the social media age, so whoever has the most social media followers is the guy that they're going to push and the guy that they're going to want. So for me, I don't want to take my eye off the prize. I know what I got to do. I can't look past Brady. I'm going to look through him as I punch a hole through him, and then I'm just going to be waiting for what's next because, like you said, nothing's guaranteed. Chimaev is not guaranteed to go out there and dominate Nate Diaz. Yep. And Dana White could say it now, but if I go out there and put on an amazing performance against Brady, my performance would be way better than Chimaev, anything he could do against a guy like Nate Diaz, because I'm doing it against somebody that's actually a 170 guy that's ranked. And him beating a Nate Diaz really don't make no sense.
Well, hey, and if Edwards beats Usman, perfect. We'll just redo Muhammad Edwards for the title.
Yeah, no that's another thing too, because you see him saying that, oh, he's lapping the division, And I just feel like it's more so the UFC trying to build Usman up to the GOAT status. Obviously, he's good. He's great. He does have a long winning streak, but I think they're trying so hard to push him to that level, and they're trying to say, oh, he's lapping the division. He hasn't lapped the division. He's fought 3 guys at the top, and they're all rematches. Gilbert Burns is the only new person he's fought. Stephen Thompson was the guy that, oh, man, that's a tough puzzle for himself, and Usman was always talking about him. Like, oh, man, Stephen Thompson's a tough guy, blah, blah, blah. But then I go walk through Stephen Thompson, and now – oh, man, he wasn't as good enough. He's old. And then Luke, I go out there and I beat him. He's on a 6-fight, 7-fight winning streak, and I go beat him. And, Usman before that, Luke is good everywhere. He has great finishing ability, blah, blah, blah. And I go out there and dominate him, and it's, oh, well, Luke is not that good.
Right.
Well, we'll give him a Leon Edwards, and, there's nobody else really for him to fight. But I just beat 2 guys that you thought would give Usman a challenge, but still my name's not mentioned into that. Man, who should Usman fight next? It doesn't make any sense to me. And it's not the Dana White Contender Series. You don't need a finish to exactly a W. Anyway, moving on.
Cheeto, Cruz, Marlon Cheeto, Vera, Dominic Cruz. The fight's been talked about plenty. I certainly want to get your thoughts, maybe a bit on the fight, but more about where Cheeto goes from here. But I just want to shout out Dominic Cruz a little bit. And, anyone who listened to the Anik and Florian podcast, I was sort of struggling a little bit because Dom Cruz, my boy, you know what I mean? Now I'm not as close with Cruz as John is, but I have to say, John has spent a lot of time with Cruz looking at film, preparing to be a broadcaster, road dogs together, working with people. And you know how it is when you're close with people. A lot of the people you've trained with and spent time with, you're close with a lot of people. When you spend a lot of time with people, you can get real close. And the closeness with John and Dom is something real. And a lot of it, when you work with people, you're close. And I've spent a lot of time with Cruz too. And that was rough, man. That was not fun watching that morning. Certainly he put on a good performance in the first couple rounds. I thought I was enjoying it, but man, it really, it hit me in a different way, and it hit John in a different way. And I think doing the podcast was therapeutic, but I know we'll get into this with GM3 and you were in his corner and everything, but I got to say, man, that was tough, man. That was tough for Cruz. I want to get your thoughts on Cheeto moving forward, but that was an emotional Saturday night and Sunday for me, man.
Yeah, I mean, I know how you feel when you see your boys in there, somebody that you really care about. Like, it's a different feel. You get a different anxiety too. And it's like I get more nervous fight week when I'm cornering one of my boys because I can't do anything. I can't jump in there. But to me, Cruz looked great. He looked, people are saying, oh, he's old, blah, blah, blah. But dude, he looked amazing. I thought he won all 3 rounds, or he was on his way to winning all 3 rounds with the way he was moving, his blitzes in. Cheeto's just very smart, very patient, and he's so good at fundamentals and not winding up. Even that first hook that dropped him in the first round, it was just literally it didn't look like it was much, but he's so good at just using his body, using his form. Him and Jason Perillo, I just feel like having that one-on-one time with that coach, you start sharpening up a lot of your tools instead of when you're at a bigger gym and there's so many other guys there, like your coach is not really focused on you. With him being at a small gym, the coaches, they're getting better after every fight. And Cheeto's more of like a slow-paced guy. He's reading you. He's making his reads. He's making adjustments. And he just has that natural power more than all these 135-pounders where he doesn't have to throw as much volume as you do. And he could just drop you, and he could steal the round with those type of things. But I still think that Cruz looked great. I'm thinking that he was going to go out there wrestling a lot more because, he had that first double leg. I know Cheeto's very good off his back. He threw up a triangle a little bit, but I think Cruz is very good enough to defend some of those submissions off his back. I think that he did a lot of work with Roman Bravo Young. He was out there in his corner with him all week. He was telling me that, bro, we're looking good right now. Cruz is looking good. He's been working a lot. So I thought he would use a lot more wrestling. And I felt like that's all he needed to do because his stand-up was looking good. He was having good sprints, but I think he needed to mix in a takedown a little bit to mess with Cheeto's rhythm. Because Cheeto was making his reads. He was seeing, all right, now he's slipping this way. Now he's slipping that way. But if he would have slipped and then shot in on him, got a takedown on him, it would have gave Cheeto something else to worry about a little bit more. And I think that he wouldn't have been able to catch him or read that left high kick. But for me, it's tough because Cruz wants to be the champion, right? And this is a huge step back for him. He's a little older now. People are looking at him like that. He has a good job as an analyst now, and it's like, how many more fights now is it going to take him to get to a title shot? He's going to have to probably win 3 or 4 more fights, especially in the stacked division in the UFC. So it's tough for him what he does next. But for me, Cheeto, he's at the top of the list for a title shot, I think.
Right.
Unless Sean O'Malley goes out there and finishes Peter Gan with a knockout, I think Cheeto should be next for sure, just because the way his last 2 fights were so dominant. And to beat a guy like Dominic Cruz, who hasn't lost to anybody outside of a title fight, he hasn't lost a fight. So to beat a guy like that and finish a guy like that, it tells you how good Cheeto really is.
Division's banging. I'm thrilled for Cheeto. It's obviously was just a tough night the next day. But dude, Marlon, man, I'd love to say that the matchup between him and Sterling. I mean, that matchup's as intriguing as a matchup as I can think of in mind. But just watching those two, that stylistic matchup blows my mind. Love it.
Yeah, because Cheeto's not afraid to go on his back and he's throwing elbows off his back. And it tells me that Dom was seeing something that he was nervous about, that fact that he didn't shoot it again or go for a takedown again. So he probably saw something or felt something off Cheeto's back. Like, you know what? I'm more comfortable on the feet. I don't want to take him down. And that just tells you that Cheeto is dangerous off his back. Those elbows hurt when you're sitting there and the guy's in your guard. He's coming from different angles. He's not resting there. He's not like, oh, crap, you got to takedown. No, Cheeto's like, all right, you got to takedown. I'm going to make you pay for this takedown.
And I'm sure you're right. I'm sure Dom intended, to wrestle more. Just maybe wasn't there for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So moving on, long time martial arts veteran Rory MacDonald retiring from the sport. Me being 44 years old, I've been watching this guy fight a long time. Never reached quite to the top of the mountain, but certainly fought for the title. Had some wars in there. Talk to me about Rory MacDonald. You certainly grew up watching him.
Yeah, for sure. He was one of the guys that you learned so much from. He came into the UFC, had so much hype, and he lived up to the hype, honestly, in the UFC. probably the greatest fight I ever watched was him and Robbie Lawler. That just showed how much heart he had, how good he was. And I think he started like when he was 16 years old. So it was a long road for him. And he was one of the best in my division, a guy that, you know, GSP always said was one of the best people he's ever trained with, lived up to it. I think that he is good. So I think that I hate the way that he went out. Obviously, I thought I wanted him to go out there with the PFL title. I thought that in his final four, it was definitely a good final semifinals for him to go out there and win it. He fought a guy on short notice, last second replacement. Shout out to him from Sanford MMA. I train with him out there. He's good. He's young. He's hungry. Yeah, he's a young, hungry dude. So I knew that he wasn't just gonna go in there and be like, "Oh, I'm fighting Rory MacDonald," like nervous. Like you could just tell this kid's hungry. And I was like, man, it's a tough one for Rory if Rory's not the same. And he went out there right away. He went for a takedown and he pulled guard. And I was like, oh, man, Rory, he doesn't have it anymore. Like you could just tell some guys, I feel like they lose it. After that Robbie fight, you know, all that damage to his nose, I think that it was hurting him ever since then. Again, I think after that was the Stephen Thompson fight. He just never looked the same. He was doing random things, and it wasn't always the same Rory. I know he went to Bellator, tried over there a little bit. But you know, I'm just glad that, you know, finally it's done with him. I want to remember his great fights instead of his bad fights, because he's earned it. He's one of the legends of the game.
Well, that Lawler fight should get in that fight wing of the UFC Hall of Fame. So this fascinated me this week, just because you don't always get sort of hear the meat on the bone with this. So Shane Burgos to the Professional Fighters League. So according to Dana White, kind of the one that got away. This free agent signing just fascinating to me amidst all this discussion with fighter pay, but this one seemed to hit differently for Dana White. Seemed really, you know, was vocal about it, sort of frustrated that Burgos went to the PFL. What are your thoughts on that? Big picture, all things considered. Fascinating.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. It's I did not expect that. I thought that UFC would definitely re-sign him. He's one of the most exciting fighters in that division. He always brings a good fight. He's a banger. He's been in wars with some of the best guys in the division. Him and Emmett's fight was such a great fight when you think back to it and see how close Emmett is to the title. Right. I know Dana White said, I don't think Shane Burgos was ever going to be a champion or anything like that, but I think he could have. You know, he has great boxing, great footwork. He showed his grappling his last fight, but it just shows you that I feel like PFL moved to number 2 right now. I think that Bellator, they're not number 2 anymore. You're always thinking about what's the next best promotion. I think PFL definitely one up them. Bellator feels like they're falling off a little bit. They feel like they're not promoting their guys as much. They have superstar guys, and they're not really pushing them. I think ever since AJ McKee lost, that was the guy they thought that was going to take him to the next level. And, you know, ever since then, they were like deflated their balloon a little bit. You know, Masasi lost now, deflated their balloon a little bit, but they're not pushing these young guys. I'm like, the guy who beat Masasi, I keep forgetting his name, but he's a monster. He dominated Masasi, and he literally they should be pushing him all the time, because the whole time before that fight, they were saying Masasi and Stylebender would be a great fight. And he just goes out there and gets dominated 5 rounds, and Bellator is not pushing this guy. Rafion Stotts, the champion right now. Right. Personality, freaking the best personality I've ever seen. So much energy, and they're not pushing him as much. And I'm like, Bellator is really not pushing these guys. PFL, on the other hand, they're pushing their guys. They have a tournament format where people get excited for. You're seeing newer names, fresh names. They're signing guys like Shane Burgos. Their 45 division, their 55 division is going to be great. They still have big names also in there. And I think just their whole playoff format of a guy could leave with $1 million, and you could be a guy that takes a fight on short notice, like last week, the one that just beat Rory MacDonald, Taylor. He literally took a fight on short notice. Now he could be a millionaire all in 1 year. So it's crazy. It's good to see that there's a different promotion out here pushing for fighters, and fighters to go out there and make more money than they ever thought they could.
So the next topic, Coach Bully, perfect time to bring in our guest for this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, he's won 4 of his last 5 in the UFC's octagon, fresh off a submission finish of Bruno Silva, set up by a big boy left hook, by the way. Dude, what an absolute privilege for me to welcome Gerald Meerschaert III. Congratulations. Welcome to the show, kid.
Hey, what's up, Jason? It's good to be here.
It's cool how you said the third. That was a good introduction. I was like, man, he mentioned the third.
And I didn't say Meerschaert. I said Meerschaert. So I get points for that too.
Yeah, that's a tongue twister. A lot of people get that wrong, especially Belal. Like, he has trouble saying tournament. You know, my last name's a little bit of trouble for him.
I call you GM3. We're all good though, bro.
That's true.
So we were about to get into our last topic, which is Coach Bully. So you had your boy in the corner for the first time. We'll get to your fight, but so Belal, before we even get to Gerald, tell me what it was like for you, because I know it's emotional for you watching Gerald fight because he's your boy, let alone be in cage side with him. Talk to me. What was it like for you?
First of all, the week was a little different, because all we're watching is the History Channel, and I'm like, oh, man, all right. Are you using the remote right now? And he's just like watching the History Channel. We have to do that all the channel. Then it's like 9 p.m. and he's like, hey, I'm turning off the TV. And I'm like, at 9 p.m. All right, I guess I go to sleep. And then I'm waking up and he's like up at like 6 a.m. And I'm like, all right, let's get our day started, huh? So it was a weirder fight week.
Okay.
But
Okay. First of all, let me say this. During the bulk of the week, all we watched, and Belal loved this, don't let him lie to you, we watched 2 shows. We watched South Park and Guys Grocery Games. Shout out to Triple G. That's my show. The day of the fight, I had American Pickers on because it was that in South Park, because Guys Grocery Games wasn't on anymore. All right. And second of all, don't let Belal fool you about the going to sleep at 9 p.m. Every single night, he fell asleep before me. All right. So he'd be asleep for sure by 10 p.m. I'm talking out cold, mouth open, like just dead to the world. And he would wake up until like 8 or 9 o'clock. I'm like, dude, how do you sleep like that? Like, I know I got a kid, so I'm used to waking up early. I'm like, I'm going to go to sleep early. I'm going to wind down. I'm going to get my full 8. This dude was getting 10 to 12 every night. Like a couple of times I was like, I really hope he's breathing. I'm just going to turn some lights.
It's the jet lag.
It's really going to mess up my fight week if my coach and my good friend and training partner just dies miraculously.
Dude, this is my turn to talk. So,
okay.
Dude, quick shout out, dude. Look at his face. No cuts at all.
Right?
He was the one fighting the striker, the big bad man who went to war with Pereira, and you're like, dang, he kickboxed with a kickboxer, and Gerald goes out there, doesn't get a cut on his face. I'm not saying this because I was in his corner, but I do have great defense.
This is true. And then, hey, real talk, training with Belal, like, so I'm doing my my camps at Killcliff right in Florida, but when I'm home, I make the drive down to Valley Flow and I get working with my guy Belal, and just watching Belal train can make the average person tired. So when I have Belal's always in good cardio shape too, so it doesn't matter if I'm in good shape or bad shape. I just have to deal with him all the time, everywhere. So it keeps me on my toes and puts me on another level, because I don't really get the time away from camp is easy training. It's like, oh, now instead of having a room full of killers, I have to deal with Belal specifically all the time and then even when he's not training, he's like, all right, we're going to train for 2 hours. I'm going to make you start against the wall and deal with a fresh guy every 10 seconds. So I'm getting my work in when I'm home.
I believe it. Well, what you said on the mic post-fight is what he's been saying about you for years. Just talking about Gerald can crack. I can't tell you how many times Belal has told me about you being able to crack, and then you said it on the mic. But, for those of us, I was in the Apex in April, right? And you'd won 3 straight, close fight against Jocko, but I'm sitting in there ready to fucking scream for you. You know what I mean? And it was a little, so now it's good shit, 4 or 5. And that was a great moment. And nice to see you get to throw your hands, but you could be sure we're all screaming for the choke once he went down.
Yeah, no, the way I sat him down too, I kind of saw the ref come in. So I was like, I might get a walk-off knockout. And then by the time I followed up, I got a little too close, and I don't think it looked good for him. And maybe, not as much time had gone by as it felt like for me, but he started grabbing on my leg, and I was like, man, I'm going to do all this work. He's going to grab my leg, and we're going to I'm just going to be stuck here hitting him, and it's not going to get stopped. So I was like, I know I can choke pretty much anybody. So let me just get out of here real quick.
We just missed that last comment. It said Gerald with the great camera. Shout out to Gerald. He upgraded to iPhones now. So he's team iPhone. He was always that guy with green. And I was like, it just pissed me off every time I saw green when I texted him, because it just always angering me. And then you'll be in group chats and his message will not go through. And you're like, what the heck? When is this guy going to upgrade? He finally got an iPhone, guys. So Gerald's team iPhone. That's why his camera looks so good.
Yeah. I have a newer iPhone, unlike Belal, who's ranked number 5 in the UFC and refuses to upgrade from the SE from back in 2012, which why it looks like he's sitting in a steam sauna right now.
I'm using my computer.
So should we get into the Bix, or you want to keep asking your boy some questions?
No, dude, I wanted to ask you some questions. First of all, how's your vacation going?
It's going good. Some stuff happened at home, so I wasn't able to go up north, but we're still at the house. I get to spend time with my family. We're making the most of it. Today we took the little one to the zoo in Milwaukee. That was pretty cool. And, we've been just kind of getting some time when he's at daycare too, to go do some fun stuff. I've been making up for a lot of lost time that I didn't get to take the bike out. So I've been riding that everywhere, and it's been great.
Any closer to your call out pick? Also, another one I was thinking about that I was a name I was thinking about that makes sense is you against Chris Curtis.
Yeah, no, so like I said, I said Petrosky because he called me out, and like I'm not going to sit here and have someone speak my name and not say anything about it. And it wouldn't be right of me to like expect or want a shot at someone quote unquote ranked higher and then not be willing to fight, anybody in the UFC myself. So like a lot of guys saying afterwards, like, oh, it doesn't make sense, you should want to move up. I absolutely do want to move up. And I do think I deserve somebody ranked or, closer to that end. However, I don't think the UFC cares nearly as much about rankings as like the media does. It's more about your performances and how you look, right? And anyone who is in the UFC is tough. And if someone's going to speak my name or say my name and they want to fight, I'm not going to say no. You know what I mean? If we work out a date that works for both of us, great. Or if UFC offers me somebody else, it's like, well, tough luck. We'll meet down the line eventually if we're both in the same spot. But that's the thing too, right? Like I've been in the game a while. I've been in the UFC a while. You stick around long enough, you fight most of the guys. So it's not like I'm going anywhere specifically. So if Petrosky sticks around, either I'm going to fight him now or I'm going to fight him later. But yeah, I think Curtis would be a great matchup. I forget who's like all in the top 15. Someone mentioned Darren Till. I wouldn't say no to that. I don't know how healthy he is right now. I think he's still kind of recovering, but pretty much anyone that you can fight in the UFC is going to be tough. Again, if I can get that rank guy, that's always awesome. Or, hey, if I skip the line a lot, like I did something Pereira couldn't do, if he ends up losing, I'll definitely fight him. You know what I mean? I'm sure as hell not going to stand with him that as much as I did with the last guy, but I'll definitely fight him. You know what I mean? It'll still be an exciting fight.
But there are opportunities. I mean, Chris Curtis just had an opportunity to take that 8. So, as an unranked guy, and he loses and still gets ranked. But I'm with you. It doesn't matter what you fought 17 times in the UFC in less than 6 years, if I'm not mistaken. It's almost 3 fights. I mean, it's bananas. I mean, that's a lot of fights.
Most of his wins are finishes. So
all of them.
That's even more bananas.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to win by decision because I've had where I thought I pretty clearly won, and the judges were like, "Nope, you didn't choke him, so you don't get to win." Yeah, and I found another cool like little stat. I'm tied for the second most all-time UFC finishes at 10. Anderson Silva had 11, which means
way.
Yeah, so I think I'm tied for like the most finishes of active middleweights because I can only win by finish apparently.
Also, how's your shoulder? My bad.
No, you're good.
Oh, go ahead.
Also, how's your shoulder? You get checked out again?
Yeah. So I saw another doctor. I've had a few different opinions. They've all been great. Part of it too on mind is like it's all about how you receive the information, right? Because I am obviously not a doctor. I've never been to medical school. So, you hear one thing, it can freak you out a little bit, and then you get a couple different opinions. But we all know we choose this life of fighting. It's probably going to trash our bodies. I've been pretty at peace with the fact that generally speaking, I'm probably going to have arthritis and just hurt all the time when I'm older. That's kind of like the name of the game, right? But yeah, so right now, it sounds like I do have a torn labrum, which sounds bad, but they're like, you don't have any pain. It never dislocates while you're training. It doesn't affect me really doing anything. There was like one strength movement where I kind of noticed it, and it wasn't even in the shoulder. It was somewhere else because of my body compensating for it. So they're like, you could get it fixed now, but if it's not hurting you and you want to keep going and you feel good, then, there's no problem with you keeping going. Because like at this point, no matter what, there's going to be some kind of issue later on, right? And it's like, if I get it fixed now, I probably only got another 4 or 5 years left in me of fighting, most likely. I mean, we'll see what happens, but it would be 6 months minimum till I could start like training hard again, let alone take a fight. So that's like a big chunk, of that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and the guy was like, look, you might be fine the entire time because a lot of fighters are weird cases. Like, you're telling me you have no pain and you can do everything just fine. He's like, I might not see you until you're done fighting. I might see you in 2 weeks. You kind of just, you never know. It's like, obviously be aware of it and don't like let people torque on your arm too much in that weird. Other than that, I mean, there's a lot of guys, like even in different sports, like in wrestling, there's guys that wrestle with no meniscus in their knee and they're just fine. So it's not outside the realm of what the norm is for a combat sport athlete. It just doesn't sound great on paper, but like I said, there's no pain. There's no noticeable limitation. Like, I had this since my last fight, and we trained together. I got ready for this fight. Didn't seem to affect me, so I'm just gonna keep the gravy train rolling while I can.
Well, dude, congrats, man. I mean, I know you have a lot of fans out there, but if you had seen when Belal connected me to you, if you had seen me in my living room, bro, you would have. I mean, I was going nuts, and it's really, I've enjoyed having you on the show in the past, and Cody and I were talking earlier how good you are when you're breaking down fights. So, dude, it's great to sort of connect with you here and then see you fucking go to work out there, man. Nothing like it. Congrats, brother.
No, I appreciate it, and I really appreciate all my fans because I know not everybody is like. I'm not a blue chip prospect and I'm not like a super household name, but I feel like all my fans, like they really love watching me fight, and they know and appreciate and like understand, like, you don't listen to the noise of the odds makers and stuff because they kind of just look at numbers. Everybody knows that when I fight, it is a fight. And, this is one of the few times that I was kind of ahead the whole time, but no matter, it's almost always a come from behind win for better or worse, but there's always going to be drama. There's always going to be some hands. There's always going to be work everywhere in every discipline. And, I think that the unique thing about me is like, I make everybody look human. You know what I mean? Like, everyone has all these superpowers and then they fight next to me and then all of a sudden they look like a normal person again. So I think that's like my special ability.
I love it.
Sure. Let's get your special ability of breaking down fights. Cause I can't stare into your blue eyes anymore, dude. I'm like, man, I didn't know how nice his eyes looked. And so I'm looking at him in his beautiful camera. I'm like, what the fudge?
Dude, those iPhone cameras, though, or any phone. I mean, like last week, Bully, you looked great last week, Bully. I was like, what's wrong with me? It's just how it goes. But not a scratch. By the way, that tight fade, my brother and I were talking about your haircut in the octagon. Dude, Sanford did you right, man. That tight fade, was that your local barber or someone down in Florida did that for you?
I get that at home too, but somebody at Sanford hooked me up with that. He's a guy, Zeno, that he comes in and he cuts all the fighters' hair and stuff. So that was good because I was about to be looking pretty homeless there if I for the fight.
All right, so this fight card, obviously electric. We picked 3 fights. This fight just blows my mind. Can't wait for this. So I'm licking my chops. Close on paper. Merab a slight favorite. So Aldo had lost 3 straight and now has since won 3 straight. Most recently against Rob Font, unanimous decision, December 4th of last year. He gets the Georgian, the Wallace Willie here. From what I've heard, Merab's won 7 in a row, which seems a little quiet to me. To me, with Sterling in the same camp and them being in the same division, there's just an inevitable sort of backstep. He just sort of takes a step back. And I love what Sterling said about being willing to move up or whatever it is, but Merab doesn't always get the love that I think he necessarily deserves. I've heard a lot of people say they like Jose Aldo in a 3-round fight, but maybe would have leaned more toward Merab in 25 minutes. Bully, lead us off. Who do you got?
Yeah, I think the big key is a 3-round fight. Jose Aldo, like even against Peter Yan, he looked really good those first 2 rounds, and he came out, striking look. His boxing always looking crisp. Even against Rafa, his boxing looks crisp. His leg kicks look like they're coming back. Merab, his last fight against Moraes rocked him a couple times in the first round, and he was leg kicking him really hard. So I think if Aldo comes out there like old Aldo with the leg kicks again, he was always very good at takedown defense. He would get outstruck by bigger strikers like Max Holloway or somebody, those guys, Peter Yan, they'll give him trouble. But Merab, he swings a little bit wild. He has a gas tank, endless gas tank, but I don't think that's really going to affect Aldo in a 3-round fight. So for me, I'm picking Aldo for this one. I think that those leg kicks in the boxing is going to hurt Merab.
Gerald?
I'm going to go the opposite, actually. And I think it's going to be a close fight. And Merab, he kind of has fights not dissimilar from mine sometimes, in the sense that, he'll get touched once in a while, but then he just keeps going and kind of gets on guys a little more grapple heavy, right? He loves the takedowns. But I think to Bully's credit, or to Bully's point, rather, the leg kicks are coming back.
That's not right.
Okay. This credit, he's right. All those kicks are coming back. However, he's been very, very boxing heavy lately. And it's just something that I think he's probably going to still stick with, especially against a guy who he thinks is going to shoot on him. It's always kind of risky to leg kick against a wrestler that can potentially grab that and take you down. So I think Merab gets in his face because of the boxing. I think that allows him to close the distance. He might get cracked here or there, but I think he can just press Aldo up against the fence a lot, get him down on the ground, and just kind of secure a win that way. I don't think it'll be pretty at all, right? I think it's going to be kind of a dogfight on the feet, but if Aldo comes out on a little more on that boxing side again, I think that allows Merab to close distance a lot easier. And I could be mistaken, but I feel like Merab is a little bit bigger physically, right? So I think if he really wants to pressure him and maybe even get him, although very good at walking people down, but again, that leaves you open to the open cage shot. You know what I mean? And if he does stay real tentative about that, I think Merab can back him into the fence. And as long as he avoids that big shot coming in or a knee or something, I think he can kind of grind on Aldo and get that unanimous decision victory.
Just amazing. Listen to the Anik and Florian podcast this week. Kenny Florian fought Aldo 11 years ago. It's just nuts.
Oh, wow. Did he?
2011. It's nuts,
That's crazy. And it was at 145. So, I really don't think Merab is bigger than Aldo, because Aldo, you used to struggle to make weight at 145. So I don't know why Gerald said that Merab is bigger than Aldo.
Bully's sometimes a lot more cordial with some of the dudes he ain't as close with. He's all over your ass. I actually wrote in my notes, I was like, how much credit does Belal get for your win? Right? Because you knew it, right? All right. Bully wants to take some credit for your win.
Yeah. Belal was great in the corner. He a lot of good tips. It definitely helped to have somebody who has such good footwork. And I really think, though, the key to victory was all the video he took and how he had the live going in the back room. If I didn't have that and I didn't know eyes were on me, I'm not sure I would have liked that.
Dude, but now when you go back and you look at it, aren't you happy that he took that video? Yeah. I'm like, bro, it's good to go back and see. Oh man, now I get to see the whole warm up, and people could be like, oh, I have to see how Gerald warms up. I did that for a deal once for one of his fights, and he's like, could you turn that off? I said, why is it bothering you? Why is it affecting you right now? It's live. It's not. You should be worried about the fight right now. I thought Gerald was gonna yell at me because he kept looking at it. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get yelled at again.
I would see myself walk by and like, what the hell is on the screen? And I was like, is he shoot a live video right now? And there was a split second where I was like, what if my opponent sees this? And then I'm like, it doesn't matter. We're about to fight. He's going to learn now. But I was kind of dude really just came back here and was like, hey, what's up? What's up, guys? I'm on Instagram Live. You know what I'm saying? Out here fighting out in San Diego. Check out Bully B's boot camp. Get that summer body right. I'm here with my boy GM3. You're about to go do work.
Bro, I do that before all of my fights. I go live, and it's hey, it hasn't went wrong yet. So keep the ball rolling.
Maybe that's the secret, eh?
I love it. All right, moving on. Co-main event. Dude, this feels like a fight from a totally different era to me. Rockhold hasn't won in 5 years, hasn't fought in 3, more than 3. Costa's fought once. He's the opposite of you, Gerald. He's fought once over the last 4 years, every year. He's just no buzz on Costa. He's barely on my radar. It's just nuts. That being said, I can't wait. I can't wait. So tough to know what to expect from me from either guy. Gerald, we'll let you lead this one off. Who do you like in the co-main event? Your division.
Man, I just got to ask the question about this. I'm really not sure. I do think the odds are off. You look at Luke Rockhold, he does have 2 back-to-back knockout losses. I know something about that. I've been through that before. However, he also got to take a lot of time off. So his brain is fully healed. If he was smart, taking his time back, coming to training, he could really give himself a chance to let his body get resilient again. Because it's the older you get, it is harder to come back from hard fights in general, especially if you get your brain scrambled a little bit. That being said, we can also look at the Costa side of it and like what Costa are we going to get, right? He seems to be motivated. He definitely looks, leaner than we've seen him for previous fights, but do we get the Costa that showed up for Romero ready to go to war? Or do we get, 2 glasses of wine Costa that doesn't care and wants to like throw a couple big strikes per round and then just kind of call it a day? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, that I could pick a winner necessarily, but I could tell you that for sure the odds need to be closer. And I could tell you, so if Luke Rockhold is going to win this fight, I think he really needs to use that long left body kick to slow down Costa and kind of pay some dividends, maybe even go to the inside lead leg a little bit to throw off Costa's movement, because he does like to march forward. He is open for those kicks, and he'll look to eat some of those sometimes to swing back. But we did see like Israel Adesanya kind of lay out a really good game plan. If you put that long jab out there and you peck at his legs a little bit, he gets a little bit tentative if you peck at him from the outside and hit him, at least hard enough to slow him down. So for Costa, he wants to go back to being the eraser. He has to get in his face. He's got to try and go in there and drop him and throw combinations. That is going to require him, though, to walk through that kick, to just kind of disregard any offense of Luke Rockhold. And again, Rockhold had those 2 losses, but before that, he got clipped by Bisping, but other than that, he was like winning every single fight. So it's not like he's a slouch, you know what I mean? I think he's only got like 3 or 4 losses in his whole career, and they're all to studs. And this is a guy who's been around for a while and is a really great, talented fighter. It's just that everybody in the MMA world especially has a very, short-term memory and like, your last couple didn't go your way, so that must mean you're bad. I don't think that at all. I think it depends on who shows up on fight night. Rockhold seems to be very motivated. Costa seems to be motivated as well, but again, if Rockhold gets out there and he lets that left leg fly and lets his hands go, I think he's got a great shot. And if Costa makes weight and doesn't not try at all, then it's going to be a really exciting fight.
Bully?
Well, you're riding the fence right there, so I mean, you're not going to give us a clear pick.
No,
that was very soft.
He's leaning Luke. He's leaning Luke. Especially based on the odds.
I mean, yeah, he makes a lot of sense with the way you're saying Luke can control him with the kicks. But I think Luke really stopped kicking ever since he had that staph infection in his shin. I think something really went wrong with him. His last couple of fights, he hasn't really been using it as much. And I know that people have been saying it's been bothering him still. So I'm wondering if it's okay now. Like you said, he had a lot of time off. So maybe it's 100% again. And if it is, yeah, those kicks are going to be huge because Costa just does nothing but plot forward with his hands, tries to get in your face, put you against the fence, and throw bombs at you. So we saw with Adesanya, those kicks, those body kicks, those low kicks. And also, I think if Rockhold gets on top, I think his grappling is going to be way better than Costa's. Rockhold has probably the best grappling at 185 besides Gerald. And I don't think that there's nobody with the ground game like his. I just don't know where his wrestling's at, but I know he's been training with Habib and them again. He started his camp out there. He was at Sanford. He's working with Perillo. So he's getting a lot of great minds around him. So now it's just all putting it into work. I don't know, ring rust, time off, if it's going to play a factor, but he just seems like a kind of motivated and angry at the same time this week with all of his trash talk. He's mad at the UFC. I don't know, maybe he's just distracted or something. I just think that this one's going to be a win for Costa. I think he's going to be too big. Rockhold still drops that lead hand a little bit too much. Costa throws big hooks. Comes over the top. I think it lands, and I'm not saying he gets finished, but I think that it could be a long night for Luke. I think he'll definitely get rocked. And like you said, I just don't know where Luke is right now with his mindset this week. He just seems like not all there.
Heard. So moving on to the main event. And for those of us that are on Team Muhammad, like I'm almost as excited for this fight to be over as I am to watch it, just to get this thing moving. Anyway, so these gentlemen met December of 2015. Edwards hasn't lost since, other than poking my boy's eye, which, that's a different story. But he hasn't, Usman 15-0 in the UFC. What else can be said? Something's got to give Usman a significant favor here, but not necessarily overwhelming compared to how he's been against some of his other opponents. My brother has said this a couple times, like that when he was with Leon and Belal, you speak that Leon's like a big dude, like a little, almost like it surprised John how kind of big Leon was. So, Bully, you've obviously been in there with Leon. Not for as long as you would have liked. Fascinated for you to roll on the main event, Mr. Muhammad, and then we'll get to Gerald. Talk to me.
Yeah, he's bigger, but he's got really a small waist. And I think that's what's going to be the key for.
We lost you.
My bad. Leon defending double legs and using distance with his kicks and his strikes and keeping that distance. But I think that when guys go around his body, get around his waist, he gets taken out pretty easily. I think Usman realized that the first fight, where the first round was pretty good. The first round, they were going back and forth with strikes. And then once Usman got a hold of his waist, started dragging him down, pushing him on the fence, dragging him down, Leon started gassing out a little bit and he started breaking. And I think that that's what Leon does later in rounds when he's not the lead dog, because a lot of these fights, he'll outstrike you, outpace you, then he'll take you down and he'll control you on top, and then he'll let you back up and then outstrike you again. He's not going to be able to do that with Usman. He's not going to be able to take him down. I think that Usman, he knows that he needs this win to get that record and to keep going, keep getting his next big fight. If it's going to be Chimaev or me, or even if he wants to go up to 205, he knows he needs a big win here. So I think it's all about just getting that victory done. And I think that he's going to go into wrestling because that's his easiest path to victory. There's no point of striking with him. And I know people are saying, oh, he's cocky now. His head's not all there. He's getting too stars, becoming too much of a star, and he's a knockout artist. But I think he's not dumb. I think he has really high IQ. And I think he's going to go in there, out wrestle Leon. Do it's kind of like the same first fight.
Joe?
Yeah. I gotta say, I agree with Belal on this one. I don't really see a way that Leon can win this fight. And now when I say that, I don't mean that Leon can't look good. I think there are parts where Leon will look good. I think his grappling is highly underrated. Like Belal said, he has taken guys down. He does very good work on the ground, both off his back and on top. But, with Usman, he controlled him so thoroughly in the first fight, and he's only gotten better. He hasn't lost a step in his wrestling. He's been out wrestling like the likes of Colby Covington in their fights, which is no small feat, who has a gas tank for forever when he fights anybody else. And he's been knocking guys out as of late. Now, those fighters are very, very different from Leon Edwards. However, I just don't know that he's going to be able to, Leon Edwards, that is going to be able to do what he has to do to keep Usman off of him, right? Because Usman seems to manage distance very, very well. And when he does attack, he's a very dynamic wrestler in the sense his entrance is really fast. He's going to get around your waist. He's going to try and double leg you. And he's got upper body stuff too, but it's that initial entrance that can kind of throw guys off. Some guys need, I need to get in the mix a little bit. I got to get someone to swing back or tie up with them. I'm not super, super fast on the double leg like a Usman or a Belal Muhammad, but Usman is really quick on that double leg. So he can get through those, those strikes a lot faster or with a lot less danger and make that split second switch. I think if Leon really wants to have some success, he'd have to kick at the legs of Usman and peck at him early. But again, there you leave yourself open for Usman to snatch a leg up and kind of trip you up and take you down. So I think Leon will look good here and there, but I don't see a way that he can get in there and come away victorious unless he happens to catch Usman, really, really sets some traps. But to get Usman out of himself, to draw him into a firefight or to catch him looking on something, not just offensively, but defensively, Usman stays very basic, very sound. And, anytime he gets into a position where maybe he doesn't want the prolonged activity, he's good about cutting an angle or getting out of dodge. You know what I mean? And usually he's on the A side controlling the pace. With Leon, he can kind of fight on the front foot or on the back foot. The problem there being that fight on the back foot too much with a wrestler, they're just going to run you over eventually. So I think Usman, at the very least wins by a decision, but I could see him, Belal said, he does seem to fade, Leon does, as the round goes on or the rounds go on. I could see Usman, just using feints and maybe a couple takedowns to tire Leon out and then catch him slipping on something and cracking him and, possibly getting a TKO.
Good shit. So, Gerald, you going to try and get one in before the year's up, I would think? You? One more?
Yeah, maybe. I'm not, I was gone a little bit for this one, so I think December or maybe early next year would be fine with me. I could probably go earlier than that, but I'd like to see my family for a little bit longer than I was gone for. So
I hear you.
Again, I always say I want one thing, the UFC does another, so we'll see what happens. But I definitely want to get some quality time in with the family, beat up on Belal a little bit before his fight, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Love it. Well, we appreciate you being on, man. As always, we'll get you back on for a game show soon too. You can be sure. But hey, and if you ever need anyone in the corner, there's just a hype man who'll work for free. Like I'm there. So if you ever need it,
Bro, Gerald, I didn't even tell you. So I was gonna do you and Nate Landwehr to be on the show because both of you guys had 2 big wins, and then I messaged him and he goes, "Hey, bro, appreciate you, man. I love what you did down there. You guys seem cool, but I can't come on your show, man, because I train with Kobe Covington." literally said that.
It was the best. I
was like, all right. Oh, you should. I messaged him back. I was like, oh wait, you train with Kobe? All right, never mind. Then I didn't want you on my show.
But he was giving Belal plenty of respect and compliments before sort of delivering the I'm with Colby, so probably shouldn't do it. But
it was like the weirdest message ever. He was just like, oh yeah, man, I saw what you did last week, man. You guys seem cool. You guys seem like cool people. You guys worked hard, man. But nah, man, I can't come on your show.
Like, I don't think Colby would care, but good for him for sticking with his guy and being honest. So, like, he seems like a super nice guy too. So maybe
that's what I said. I was like, man, I don't know if I should hate him right now or not, but I'm like, you gotta respect it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if like Colby had a show and reached out to me, I'd be like, I don't know, man. Like, I might have to wait till y'all fight and figure it out, and then we can talk about it after.
Yeah.
At least his show's on Fox News.
Ooh, are you talking about Tucker Carlson?
Oh, that was such a dad joke.
Hey, I am an affluent, informed young man.
That is the truth. Appreciate you being on, man.
Hey guys, I appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.
Great fucking win. Later, brother. I will say it'll be the same with Jared. I know Gerald better than I know Jared Gordon this weekend, but it's like a spider web. Like the way Jared is connected with you, I'll be rooting for him in a very different way. I root for him in a different way, even though I met, you know what I'm saying? It's so, but I just want to get one more thing before. So you know, when you usually watch Gerald, you get emotional watching your guys. Yeah. What was it like? I know you've cornered guys before. Have you ever what was that like? Were you nervous or were you just kind of locked in your coach mode?
Oh, I'm more nervous in the back, and then because like Gerald's like he had over 50 fights, so he's like so nonchalant about everything, and like even like fight week, he was just I'm a guy that like works out twice fight week, so like I'll work out in the morning, but I'm getting like pad sessions in, a little light sparring in, and some rolling in, and Gerald's like let's just go for a walk by the bay, and I was like, huh? I was like, all right, and then it's nighttime, and then he's like we do a couple of rounds of pads, and then a couple of rounds of light sparring for the night session. And then he's like, yeah, I'm good. And I'm like, me and Stroud are looking at each other. Stroud's like, man, this is like the easiest guy I've ever had to deal with in my life. Cause you have guys that get emotional, they get stressed out. They're like, oh, I need especially this, and this. Paul Felder's guy, I need 10 rounds of hard pads fight week. And I need to freaking catch somebody with an elbow fight week. And you're like, it's different. And then Gerald's just like, yeah, let's go for a walk. We're cool. Let's go for a bike ride. And it's just like, so chill. And I'm like, why is he chilling? Because I'm watching Bruno Silva, and I'm like, dude, this guy's a killer. I'm like, we need a freaking. This is not an easy fight. Like, what's going on in Gerald's head? Shout out to Paul Felder on his new baby. I texted him. Shout out to Paul. Everybody don't know he just had a new kid. So another triathlete in the world. But yeah, Gerald's just so cool. We had like the hotel bikes. They had them for like $10 an hour. We rode for like 2 hours. And then he was like good with that. And then it's like fight day. And, Gerald's like a very slow starter. So I'm like, all right, we at least got to really get a good warm up in of like sparring. And so we had a really good warm up in the back. But like still, he's just like so chill. He's like texting his wife, like, hey, how you doing? And she was like texting, I'm so nervous right now. He's like, oh, why? We were relaxed. Like, how's the baby? And I was like, bro, like it just seems like nothing to him. And it was just cool to see, like, because you see different views of everybody. So like calm you down. And Strout's another guy. It was very cool to be in a corner with him because I've always seen him in Jared's corner, and Jared always says he's like a great corner. So to see him in the corner, and like he's another guy that's very calm, cool, like he's cornering every week, and just like the way he sees things is so cool. Like Gerald will like move it. Hey, how about we move your legs a little bit? Something like that, instead of like a coach, move your legs right now. He was just like, so hey Gerald, how about I move? All right, that one was close. So how about we move a little bit back further, huh? It's just so cool. And like even in the corner, we walked inside. Hey, how was that, Gerald? I feel good. I feel all right. We're just chilling, right? And then it's it was just a cool experience to see both of them, and they're both veterans of the game. They both had so many fights and everything, so it's cool to see it, and it just like calmed me down. But like after I saw that submission, he dropped it, I hopped up, I went nuts. I was like a different level.
I love it. You know, I really feel like deprived when we don't get to hear the corners. I mean, obviously I wanted to hear you, but you don't get to hear a lot of that on E+, you know?
Well, I just wanted to jump in. So the ESPN Plus cameras did catch you doing that, Bully, and Jason goes, "No, stop." He's like telling you to stop.
He was trying to hold my waist the whole time. So like the guy, like anytime you get up, they try to hit you. They try to like the guy behind you taps you down, like sit down, sit down.
Yeah.
It's the commission guy. He's like tapping me the whole time because I get excited. Like I said, it's my boy. Like Gerald, like a couple of those kicks were getting close to Gerald's face. I'm like, come on, what are you doing? And Trout's like grabbing my waist, sitting me down, sit down. And I'm like, bro, I can't. I just get too hyped. But then when he did that, I was like, I had to jump up. I was like, dude, that's it. The fight's over. We won, so it's all good now.
I love it.
But it's just cool seeing it because like you see, I'm a guy like I study tape a lot. So especially for my when I'm cornering somebody, I take it serious. I'm not just the guy that I'm just here to hear. Like I want to watch all the tape on Bruno Silva, and I see that, dude, this guy's a killer. He's not soft. He's not weak. So it puts pressure on me to know that, I have to show Gerald the right look, give him the right idea, because you're in the corner. He brought me out here. He obviously respects me enough to put him in his corner. And it's only two of us there. So like it falls on us to catch and see different things that, he can't see inside of there because we get a different view. Obviously, you see it all the time when you're on TV and people are like, oh, he should have did this or that, but you don't see it inside the cage. So that's why if you have great corners that see everything, and they, I see this, do this, try this, it pays dividends.
Well, it did, man. It was great. Big win. What's up, kid?
I have it here.
Oh, the corner. Yeah, it was nuts. It was like, because it's like a sense of relief because we got it done. And all the people that are doubting him, all the people that are like, oh man, Bruno Silva's gonna walk through him. Why the heck did they keep giving Gerald all these hard fights? Blah blah blah. And then he keeps proving these doubters wrong. A lot of these people don't understand. But I tell you guys, man, like if you train with him, if you see him in the room, you know how good he is. And every fighter that's ever trained with him, every fighter, every team that he's ever been with, they know how good he is. So to see him out there and put on like one of his best performances I see, and to show stand-up, wrestling, grappling, he showed everything in that fight. So I think that's just going to keep the ball rolling, momentum rolling for him, and I think he's only going to get better from here.
I love it. And I like him matched up against a lot of the top 15 as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I was looking at the fighters. I'm like, man, he should do this, or this one makes sense. And they're all great fights for him, especially if he goes out there and lets his hands go. He can strike with any of these guys.
Well, that's it for us for tonight. I'm looking forward to next Thursday night because there will be a welterweight champion. It may very well still be Kamaru Usman, but Leon Edwards might not be in the picture as much as he was before. So anyway, for Cody Merrow, our director, and Belal, remember the name Muhammad. I'm Jason Anik. We'll see you next Thursday night at 8:30. Remember the show. Thank you all. Later.
Peace.